What's up, y'all? The real reason NBA ratings are down. We're going to talk about this. But before we get all the way into talking about it, turn that light on. There we go. Before we get all the way into talking about it, y'all know yesterday I did my show on Lord Jamar accepting Crazy Legs challenge to fisticuffs. And so today, it's not up there anymore. It just got deleted. Today, Crazy Legs responded to me on his Instagram. All this shit happened like in the last hour. Let me see. Here we go. Let me airdrop myself the couple screenshots I got. Because I had a feeling he was going to block me. And then I went back in under another account. And I see that he since deleted my comments. But anyway, y'all know Crazy Legs, the fraudulent, fake-ass B-boy. It was this guy right here. Remember we talked about him yesterday here? Zesty Legs with the zesty pose. This nigga, how you gonna have box? This is the only nigga I've ever seen. Only person I've ever seen look defeated in the victory pose and pop his lips in a boxing ring. I've never seen anyone in my life pop their lips in a boxing ring. Anyway, you know, he was running his mouth. This is see, Crazy Legs, I could comment. I'm back under your profile. But I see that he deleted what I had to say. My comment is no longer there. And basically, the comment was this before it was so rudely deleted. Yeah, and so I told him, here we go. He says, you could have easily asked were things set up instead of having an uninformed opinion. Both parties have already spoken to celebrity boxing. Your cap opinion is mad faulty. I said, your opinion on hip-hop roots is mad faulty, but you keep talking on it. But instead of answering a challenge to a debate, you want to fight. Everything about you is cap, homeboy. And then he wrote something else after this about hip-hop. Then I guess he realized who he was talking to and quickly deleted my post and everything else. So, yeah. Hold on. This damn light, I got the wrong. Let me put a different shade in this light. Got a red shade up at night, but in the daytime, that shit not working. Let's see about now. All right, that's better. Let me turn that light off. So there we go. I don't feel like changing that shade. So yeah, Lazy Legs did not. You see how these people are that want to be vultures to our culture? They don't even have the decency and respect to have any kind of facts or information behind their bullshit. So instead of keeping it debate, they want to turn around and box. And I had called cap on that. I was like, I said, he said, I think it's cap that you calling out somebody you bot. You challenged to a fight. And then he turned around and got mad at me. My opinion is mad faulty. It might be. I'm not on the back door. I never said I was on the back in the inside information. I'm just going off the cap. But the minute we turn that shit right back to hip hop, see, I don't believe in all that fighting shit, especially if you're a grown ass man. You should be able to settle your differences without fighting. You're a fucking primate if you have to fight to settle your differences. Human beings, especially adult human beings, should be able to settle dispute through discourse. That's what an evolved mind does. But a lot of you unevolved apes want to turn around and fight all the goddamn time when somebody calls, when somebody has more information than you. That shit weak as fuck. Any nigga out there that want to fight because you have an opinion that you can't stand on, you weak as hell, all right? Stop all that fighting over differences of opinion. And if somebody has information to back what they're saying and you don't, then just back down. Or just shut the fuck up. It's a lot of things out there that I do not have much information on. So guess what? I don't talk about it. I only open my black ass mouth when it's something that I know that I've either personally experienced and or can verify what I'm saying. That's when I go ham on things. I go hard when I know, because if you've been to my house, if you know anything, there's books all over this fucking house. And when it comes to music, damn the books when it comes to music, nigga. I got an ear. I can read music. Been a fucking drummer since I was 13. I've been playing music. I've done so much musically. I'm only 43, but I'm already old school. I come from the days on the drums to where we didn't have stems and inner ear monitors and all this shit. You had to listen with your natural ear. And as a drummer, I had to count the tempo off every single time. I'm a self-taught drummer. So to teach myself how to play the drums, I had to listen to everything, because if I wanted to play the blues, if I wanted to learn how to play the drums on the blues, I had to put in my grandfather's blues records. If I wanted to play jazz, I had to go find Duke Ellington albums and Miles Davis to learn jazz. And I put on part of it. Personal experience. I know what the fuck I'm talking about when it comes to music. I wasn't spinning on my head like a fucking idiot like Crazy Legs. That's why his neck's so goddamn stiff. That motherfucker bozo over here just jumping and spinning and flipping and shit. No, I was actually playing the music. So through playing the music, I got the information. Being in bands with former members, I was a 14-year-old, and one of the dudes that played in my church band played with Rolls Royce. The other one used to play behind Stevie Wonder. One of the dudes in my band, his dad wrote like a whole bunch of hits for Earth, and Fire and Anita Baker. And so I got to hear those stories. Another one of my band members at church played with Earth, and Fire. Another one was a current musician that will do session work at Death Row, because when you play the drums in church, especially if you're in LA, all the LA church musicians play on the road with all your favorite artists. When y'all be watching concerts, it's somebody in that band that's a church musician out of LA. Get almost guaranteed. So when you play drums in church, you get access to everybody. And so that's my pedigree. So because of that, I talk on music freely and openly because I know what the fuck I'm talking about, Crazy Legs. So all people like us, to all you people who are saying Puerto Ricans had a hand in creating hip hop, we just saying shut the fuck up, all right? You don't know about black culture. You can't read music. You can't play a song without plugging it in. That's another thing. If your instrument requires you to plug into something, Don't talk to me about no fucking music. If you can't play the acoustic version of your instrument, I get keyboards, I mean, and electric guitars, but if you can't play the acoustic version of your instrument, stand down. Don't debate me about this shit. If your instrument is hitting a bunch of pads, shut the fuck up, all right? If your instrument is going to splice and get, okay, I'm gonna grab that 7-minute loop, that 7-second loop. Okay, let me find a drum. If you can't pick up a fucking drumstick yourself and tune that motherfucking snare and know the difference between a 4-inch snare and a 6-inch snare and a piccolo snare and a 3-coat skin, 2-coat skin, 1-coat skin, dampening tools and mechanisms, if you can't do that to adjust the sound of your snare, you can't say shit to me about music in the drums. Okay? If your instrument is getting a fucking pad, stand down. So, people like Crazy Legs, stop talking on music history and music because you don't know what the fuck you talking about. And you won't have to be embarrassed, and we can still enjoy you for what you gave to music on that one movie, and for the people who watched it. Me personally, although I didn't never give a fuck about the movie you was in, and had you never existed in music, music would still go on and still be the same. You're no hell of a nothing. You didn't do anything. You kept around an old dance that when we see the originators do it, you look terrible because all you do is all that goddamn acrobat. You brought acrobatics and bullshit into the music. Yeah, you can dance, but all them acrobats, you took the soul out of the goddamn music and brought in, made it some shit that's in the Olympics now. So, yeah. What's up, Scotty? You get notifications? All right, glad y'all here. So that's what we talking about here. Crazy Legs, don't talk about Black American music, especially if you can't keep it at a debate level, if you can't keep it civil, if you can't keep it on information, and you want to resort to fisticuffs and all kind of bullshit because you don't know what the fuck you talking about, stand down. With that being said, welcome everybody in the chat. Welcome everybody. Make sure y'all share. Make sure y'all hit the like. And we about to talk about the real reason NBA ratings are down. What's up, G? What's up, Alvin? What's up, Buddy Mays? Rakeem? Appreciate y'all for joining. Shayla, appreciate all y'all for joining. YouTube is not sending out my notifications, I see. People are saying they're not getting notifications. What can you do? Make sure y'all unsubscribe and resubscribe and hit the notification bell if that is happening to you, all right? One. Let's talk about now why NBA ratings are down. Let's talk about this, all right? And I'm going to give a different perspective than basically anybody you're hearing online, because basketball is the one, especially NBA basketball. We're talking about the 90s through 2016, 17. I know this shit at the back of my hand. I backed away from the inner circles of basketball around 2013. That's when I backed away from doing like a lot of inner circle stuff with basketball. But pretty soon I talked to my boy Rasheed Hazard. He was the last coach that Tex went and talked to Triangle to. I'm going to get him on here pretty soon. We're going to talk some in-depth basketball. Hold on, I got to turn my fan on. LA got hot today. Whee! So back to it. Basketball, and I like talking about, you said you didn't get your notification? See, I don't know what it is. Yeah, people ain't getting their notifications. My 2025 reading is going to come next week, all right? It's going to come sometime between the week of Christmas and New Year's. That's when my 2025 reading is coming. All right. But it's basketball ratings are down. Let's talk about why they're down immediately. The present. But the present started somewhere. But let's talk about the present. Then I'm going to take you back to how it started and how we got here. All right. In the present game, you get nothing but come down and shoot. 3-pointers. You're not having cats really exercise the mid-range game. It's a lot of buddy-buddy. You don't really see no killers in the league that just want to take people out. Anthony Edwards did a good job during the playoffs with Kevin Durant, but Anthony Edwards still don't have that same killer instinct, and nobody wants to take LeBron out, even though LeBron ain't played good defense in 8 years. But it's not because they can't, it's because these players don't have a heart. There's no real killer instinct amongst the players anymore. You know, the last generation with the killer instinct is this in the Harden generation, the Chris Paul generation. They're the last one, Kyrie. But Kyrie got gray hair now, yo. And so you're getting that element playing. It's a whole bunch of teaming up, a whole bunch of niggas wanting to be on the same team. It's a whole bunch of soft boy antics. You know what I mean? These dudes is real soft, you know, and it starts with people like LeBron. He's king soft. When LeBron came in, that really started the soft boy generation. And we'll get to that. The whole, we're all on the same team together. The whole, let's flop. All that weak shit. That whole weak boy generation shit. That started with them. And now the NBA is still marketing the weak boy generation. And people don't pay attention to players like Trae Young. They don't pay attention to the young cats coming up and give them Ja Morant. They want to demonize Ja Morant because he's black American. They want to overemphasize Europeans. When you have Nikola Jokic get 2-3 MVPs, you just basically sullied the name of the MVP award. You got they handle foreign players with kid gloves. Giannis gets to be MVP. He only has a one-way game. He has no jump shot. He can't shoot free throws. He never developed a complete game. But because he's an immigrant player, they don't really talk bad about his game. But then you have somebody that's an ultra genius player like James Harden, who never quite had the right team around him to win a championship, who revolutionized the game. Most three-pointers made with an unassisted. His Euro step, his game, you shit on James Harden every chance you get, you know? You shit on Russell Westbrook, even though I got my issues with Russell Westbrook game. That nigga ain't got no issue. Russell Westbrook and his pace is horrible. He the reason why Oklahoma didn't win a championship, because he never knew how to steady the pace of a game. But he still was a great that his worst side was overemphasized and what he brought to the game was underemphasized. Kyrie Irving, they basically shit on his whole career because he didn't want to take a jab. First off, he left LeBron, the golden boy, because he realized, why am I going to keep winning championships for this nigga to get all the credit? And then he didn't take the jab. You know what I mean? And he stood for something. So people like the Kyrie Irving literally has the greatest ball handle we've ever seen. Right there behind, like up there, right there with Jamal Crawford and those guys. You don't talk nothing good about his game. You let slow ass Luka come in with a dumbed down version of James Harden's game. When James Harden was doing the same thing, y'all were saying he dribbled too much. He's this, he that. Luka comes in with a dumbed down autistic version of James Harden's game. And it's the greatest thing ever. You got rid of the freedom of motion movement, meaning you can't bump cutters anymore to disrupt timing of plays. So that overly inflated assist numbers. You got all these different factors pushing European players who we all see when they go up against that nigga, they ain't got nothing for it. Jokic never looks like Jokic against Embiid. And even Embiid, you can go to some, I can go to some of my posts. Let me look. The NBA's gotten predictable. Let me go to one of my posts real quick. Let me see if I can find it. And so, what we're gonna do as we get through this, we're gonna go back to 2001 when this all started. From 2001 to where we see right now started in the 2001 season when David Stern and Jerry Colangelo got together to revamp the rules of basketball and revamp how basketball is viewed. Let me see. Look at this. This is a post. Like, NBA is so goddamn predictable. Let me see. Posted from. No, not posted from me. Okay, look at this. Let me see here. I'm going through on my old posts. Let me see here. Was this post? Oh yeah, this is me talking about the MVP award. It's basically the best immigrant that they can find. This one I said a few years ago. The MVP is basically whatever immigrant that is better than good, better than okay, is going to be the MVP. Let me see if I can find the other post. Let me see if I can find the other post. It's a post that I had put up about who the MVP was going to be. And I was right. It was before the season. I think it was in let me see what year. Let me see what year. Let me see here. What year they posted? I think it was 2023. I can't find it. I cannot find it. Damn it. Or was it 2022? Either way it go, because I want to show y'all this post. Because no, it was on Twitter. I can't find it on Twitter. Basically, what I had said was because there was a leaked call. There was a call. I was looking for the call. There was a call that the NBA had put out, and it got leaked to the media. And they were saying in September, before the season started last year, that the MVP race is going to be between Luka, Giannis, and Jokic. And if one of those three get injured, Jason Tatum. So Tatum was the safety black guy. And they called this out in a leak. See, damn, I wish I could find that post because I had the post. I had the audio tagged on it where it had basically gotten out that they were telling the media who they're going to emphasize the NBA MVP to be. And it was all contrived. And then when the season came, you know who was the top three in the MVP. Oh, yeah, Embiid. There was a four. It was five players. It was Embiid. That was a four. It was Embiid, Jokic, the white boy in Dallas, what's his name, Luka, and the other foreigner. Y'all, I just mentioned his name. But that's what they basically put out a call to reporters to report on all season. Only float these four names. And if one of those four get injured, float Jason Tatum's name. So the NBA has become this contrived piece of bullshit that's no longer competitive sports. So let's go back to the Colangelo. Let me see here. Let me put it up. Here we go. I'm going to go back to this old article from ESPN. This is an old article. I remember this when it happened. This was in the middle of my Lakers championship run when the Lakers swept through the playoffs in 2001, beat the San Antonio Spurs by the widest margin of victory in NBA history up until that point in the Western Conference Finals and beat the Sixers 4-1 in the infamous Game 1 when the Lakers were up by 5 points left, but then Robert Ory's stupid ass fouled Mutombo. And then Iverson crossed over Tyronn Lue, hit that from the corner, then stepped over that nigga. I was like, no. That ruined my Lakers' perfect playoff run. So this was that season. I was really in the back. I was like, man, I didn't miss a game for like 15 years those years. But this is when everything changed right here. Jerry Colangelo got together and they wanted to internationalize basketball more. Basically, at this point, basketball was too black. It was too alpha. Iverson was running the block. Then you had Kobe. Like, as far as like the persona of the NBA, Michael Jordan had retired. This was the year before Michael Jordan decided to come back and play. So Michael Jordan's all the way retired in 2001. And so Michael Jordan is this the year the rumors of Michael Jordan is coming back. The rumors of him playing is starting to happen at the same time. I'm just giving y'all an example of the environment. Michael Jordan's gone. The rumors of him coming back is there. The Lakers are winning championships. It's Shaq and Kobe dominating the NBA going on at this time. But Iverson dominated the persona of the NBA. Shaq and Kobe were the face of the NBA winning. Iverson, Stephon Marbury, that was the face of the NBA culturally. Too black. Because it was, and people want to shit on Stephon Marbury now, but nigga, let's not forget where Stephon Marbury was in 2001. Image-wise, he was right there behind Allen Iverson because they both were great. But we all knew Iverson was a little bit better, but Stephon Marbury, that whole persona is what all the white kids started dressing like. And then Kobe started, and Tim Duncan, the two golden boys, Kobe and Tim Duncan, started wearing the chains and the baggy clothes like Stephon Marbury and Allen Iverson. So the shit was too black, all right? It was too black. T-Mac is coming ahead. Vince Carter's in his prime. Niggas is going one-on-one. Just straight up alpha male basketball. Shaq was shitting on people. Give me that. Nigga. This is when basketball was just straight up. That was the 2001 All-Star game was probably the greatest All-Star game in history. That was when they went into the double overtime. And that motherfucking Stephon Marbury, you know, was it 01 or 02? You know, the game is very competitive, but it's hyper black masculine. And what did I tell y'all before? Sports is propaganda. Sports is also propaganda. Sports is the way that they sell an image to a society. And the image had gotten too black, too alpha in the early 2000s. Way too black, way too alpha. All right? So they started to change things year by year. 2001, they got rid of illegal defense. Because Shaq, you know, to make it harder on people like Shaq and Iverson and Kobe, one-on-one players, because it used to be you couldn't be, illegal defense was you had to be within arm's reach of the person you're defending. So that's why you would see players back then, when they try to play help defense, they would always go back and check with the person that they guarding. Because with that, you had to, it made it to where you could play one-on-one ball and break people down. And it made it harder on the defense. So they got rid of illegal defense and allowed zone defenses to come in because they wanted to Europeanize basketball more. They wanted to make it easier for Europeans. Europeans wasn't coming with that, ha, 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 ha. Europeans didn't have that. You know, Europeans, they have the little, but they ain't had that, So you got to get rid of the and the way you get rid of the is by making the zone defenses legal. You know, now people who ain't got the boomps and the bamps and the whoops and the whamps, like, think about it like this. Think about it like this. Steve Nash was drafted the same year as Iverson, Kobe, Ray Allen, and that whole 96 draft class. Steve Nash was irrelevant. He went to Dallas. Them rules changed. All of a sudden, Steve Nash became an all-star. For those of you who, see, a lot of you niggas that be arguing with me, first off, y'all too young to remember what was going on back then. Second off, wasn't none of you niggas paying as close of attention to basketball back then as I was. So Steve Nash, all of a sudden, 2001, 2002, becomes a relevant player. Let me tell you how bad Steve Nash was. Let me tell you how bad he was. In 2000, when the Lakers played the Phoenix Suns in I think it was the second round, we played the Sacramento Kings in the first round, beat them 3-2 in a 5-game series. And in the second round, 2000, we played the Phoenix Suns. That's when the Phoenix Suns had Jason Kidd and Steve Nash. Do you know that the Phoenix Suns had to go ahead and pull Kevin Johnson out of retirement because they weren't sure Steve Nash was ready for the playoffs? Mind you, Steve Nash is in his 4th season. The same season Kobe is about to win his first championship. Steve Nash, the Phoenix Suns were so unsure of him that they had to bring Kevin Johnson out of retirement to come off the bench because he wasn't good enough. They changed the rules. Steve Nash becomes an all-star with Dallas. Now people see him as some all-time great when he couldn't get off the bench behind Jason Kidd. In his 4th fucking season, after 4 years of college. Kobe came out of high school and was winning a championship in the same year. So they made it very easy. They got rid of the 10-second. They did this. They also, that's what they did in 2001. And then what year was that? 2003 when the dress code changed? 04. The brawl in the palace happened in 03. And then right after that, David Stern changed the rules and he changed the NBA dress code to where now you had to wear some stuff that devolved into these niggas doing that Russell Westbrook. Niggas used to come in baggy jeans and a chain, and then by 2010, the niggas started coming to games in dresses and purses. Nowadays, these niggas got dresses and purses. But you notice, ain't no rule against wearing no fucking dress or a purse, is it? But when cats was dressed like niggas, oh no, we got to change the rules. And then that same year, summer 03, Kobe has his incident in Colorado. And Kobe's on the face of Sports Illustrated with a big old thing across it saying accused. And Kobe's of course, once Kobe got accused of raping that white girl, you know, it takes us a black man. All it takes is one accusation, it's game over. At the same time, Kobe's with Vanessa. For those of you who don't know the backstory to that, Vanessa was one of them young chicks that, and Kobe's my favorite player, rest in peace, greatest of all time in my opinion. But she was one of them young chicks, allegedly, I'm just going to say allegedly for YouTube's sake. But she one of them chicks that niggas in the NBA was flipping around, right? And Kobe, you know, had a situation in Colorado. She stuck by his side, and so he married her. He married her all around the same time. Word on the street is her parents kind of put him in a pickle because of, at the age she apparently was when it happened, it was a whole lot of things that a lot of y'all don't know about, I'm going to say allegedly, that inside NBA circles was commonly known at the time. And then Kobe has the rape incident where they accused him of that. Vanessa sticks by him. You know, insert LeBron James. LeBron's a rookie now. Jordan's retired. Kobe's now got that permanent stain of being accused of rape. They got to go in a new direction. And if you ask me, they were always planning on going in LeBron's direction because they started investing in him, ESPN and Sports Illustrated, going back to when LeBron was 13, 14. So the NBA had a lot of money. LeBron had signed a $100 million shoe deal before he played his first NBA game. He signed like a Gatorade deal. They basically mimicked a lot of Michael Jordan's advertisement and kind of put LeBron in that same scope, in that same field. And so in 2003, 2004, the NBA starts the commercials, the TV commercials, and they started calling one-on-one ball hero ball. And also around the same time, Disney took over. When the NBA was controlled by NBC and TNT, it wasn't that dramatic. It was about the game. It was about this nigga dunked on that nigga, this team beat that team, and the game was really ESPN, Fox Sports. It was covered as a game, as this person versus that team versus this team. Michael Jordan was the only person that they lionized. Outside of that, players weren't really lionized outside of Michael Jordan. When ESPN got bought out by Disney, that's when the coverage of the game started. All this stuff coincides all around the same time. And off the top of my head, the ESPN got bought up by Disney. In chat room, you can check me, but it's off the top of my head. I think they started the 2003 season was when ESPN got bought up by Disney because the Lakers won in 2002. And when the Lakers won on 2002, that was an NBC game. And when we lost to the Spurs in 2003 in the second round in Game 5, that was an ABC game. And that's when Al Michaels was the announcer, if I'm not mistaken. But off the top of my head, it was 2003 when Disney took over ESPN. 2002, yeah, I'm right. Because I know my Lakers won in 2002 on NBC, and starting the 2002-03 season was ABC took over because when the Lakers got to the playoffs in 2003, ABC had that coverage. So, yeah, I was right. When Disney comes in, Disney started selling more of a fantasy than a game. Insert shows like Around the Horn. No more. It used to be like Up Close. And then you had Roy Firestone. And Roy Firestone would more so talk about the game, who you were as a person. Not all kind of weird shit. Not all this fantasy fluff and puff. You had Outside the Lines. ESPN did a lot of investigative journalism in the 90s and the early 2000s. Disney comes, fuck the investigative journalism. We're about to sell you niggas a fantasy. ESPN First Take. First, it was a show called Cold Pizza with Dana Jacobson. It changed to First Take a few years later. Pardon the Interruption, Around the Horn. All of these shows start coming when Disney takes over. So now sports it goes from this thing that we report on, this game, to now this 24-hour debate, talk, ranks, stats. It was this guy named John Hollinger. That was their first stat guy. Is this guy ESPN had named? Is John Hollinger still around? It was like John Hollinger. They brought him in. He stat this, stat that. And the game goes from more eye test, more toughness, more let's talk about it, and to a sassy ass debate and stats. And the worst part about it going to stats is 99% of you niggas talking stats don't know the difference between the mean, mode, and range and median. Like, don't even know how to fucking read stats. But then they're like, well, based on the stats, you dumb motherfucker, unless you got all the goddamn numbers, the stats are irrelevant. You can't base nothing off 3 stats when there's hundreds of stats to be analyzed. That's why you use your eye test, because you niggas ain't even smart enough to analyze the fucking stats. But ESPN got y'all thinking that stats is going to tell you something because it's some Disney selling you some bullshit. And then, so as Disney stayed around longer and longer, Disney started making this thing a debate and started selling cult of personalities. King James, you know, I played it before, but I'm playing it again. Here, this commercial right here. Y'all remember this? This is when I knew it was gonna be some what they was doing. They turned LeBron into a person to worship, not a basketball player. You got Bernie Mac in the church. They're telling you right now, they're giving you a new, like, you got to be able to understand imagery without listening to what's being said, be able to decode this stuff. So this was LeBron James' first commercial in 2003. They got the preacher, they got the legends sitting down in all white and like angels. Basically, you see Jerry West, let's go back. Look at this commercial. You see the congregation, you know, black folks love some fucking church.
Was granted to him. Can I get a layup?
And then here in all white, you got
the chosen one didn't ask for hops. Coach.
Look at that. You got Daryl Dawkins and George Gervin. Daryl Dawkins was known for breaking backboards. One of the first to come straight from the significance of having him. He's one of the first to come out of high school directed to the NBA. George Iceman Gervin, one of the greatest scorers of all time, San Antonio Spurs.
He didn't ask for him.
In white. Then you got Dr. J, the greatest, the really Jordan before Jordan, and Jerry West, the NBA logo. You got them. You got the greats wearing all white.
I did the chosen one ask for court vision. I'm gonna tell you why. Just listen. He wanted glory for the team.
So they got the preaching, the king.
Coming over me.
And then look what they do. LeBron comes in all white. Look at the shoes, come down the middle. Giving people the Holy Ghost. See the whole church scene? So when you hear people saying the king, this was a Nike marketing campaign from day one, literally from day one. Nike, what we hear right now is something that Nike planned out over 20 years ago. All right, it's all marketing. So you market, and I think LeBron was marketed perfectly. You know, it was marketed perfectly. That shit worked. And then you go, LeBron, you build a good team around him, a team that should have won a championship. It won 66 games. But you get swept in the finals by the Spurs because LeBron averaged 16 points a game and didn't shoot in the fourth quarter. And then you run it back again in 2007, you know, you get whooped on by the by the Heat. Was it the Heat in 2007? I think it was, no, it wasn't the Heat. It wasn't the Heat. Was it the Celtics? Because the Celtics was 2008. Detroit. No, who was 07? Was it, yeah, Detroit. Detroit. Was it Detroit? Who won the East in 07? I forgot who won the East in 07. That's weird. I never forget. But I know the Celtics won in 08, beat them in 08. But I remember that choke against the Celtics. And so you have this going on. You got Kobe over here recovered from losing Shaq. The NBA has all this investment in this new guy, LeBron James. But at the same time, you're giving, oh yeah, the Spurs won in 07. The Spurs won in 07. Yeah, that's when, because 06 was when the Heat won. The Heat won in 06. Spurs swept LeBron in 07. LeBron chokes against the Celtics in 08, chokes against the Orlando Magic in 09, chokes against the Celtics again in 2010. So when they're prize product chokes in the big moments, they had to redo some things. And so this is what they did. Well, in the meantime, instead of people like Shaq and Kobe getting MVPs, they're giving MVP to Steve Nash twice, because they tried this in the middle of the decade. Steve Nash stole 2 of Kobe's MVPs, and Dirk Nowitzki stole the 3rd. And I love Dirk. I'll actually take Dirk Nowitzki over Kevin Garnett in my all-time great power forwards. Fight me if you got a problem with it. So Dirk is one of my all-time favorite players. I ain't gonna lie right there. Out of all the players I've met in my life, Dirk is one of the few I took. But like Dirk, that Dirk one-legged. So I do think Dirk is a hog. He's one of the greatest ever. He's not like Steve. Steve Nash was a fraud. That was a stat sheet stuffer. Dirk was the real deal. But Dirk didn't deserve no fucking MVP over Kobe. So you give the immigrants those MVPs. And you award soft boy LeBron James. All the time, you're ignoring the real deal ones. You have Carmelo Anthony, the whole time, Carmelo Anthony's greatness was never appreciated. Trace, when they played. Dwayne Wade, when he played, you ignored Dwayne Wade, his greatness. You ignored Carmelo Anthony's greatness. You ignored Jason Kidd's greatness. Jason Kidd could win a game scoring 9 points, 15 assists, and 12 rebounds. And you'll look at the stat sheet and be like, he only had 9 points. But yeah, each one of them 9 points either ended the run or started the run. Big shots, and he'll control the whole game. Jason Kidd can control the whole game scoring 9 points. You ignore Jason Kidd. You ignore like the great players, great secondary players like Sean Marion during that era, Amari Stoudemire. This is the era of the power forward. You got all these great. You shit on Rasheed Wallace and his greatness, and all David Stern them referees used to target Rasheed Wallace. That whole era was full of ballers, and all them niggas got ignored. Why? Because what the NBA decided to do, while they're ignoring the greatness of Carmelo Anthony and Ray Allen and Paul Pierce and these players, because every day on ESPN, what do you have? A debate show. Who's the greatest? Michael Jordan or Kobe? Is LeBron catching Michael Jordan? Is Kobe catching Michael Jordan? Is LeBron better I used to watch ESPN all the time back then. Every day you wake up. Is LeBron better at 25 than Michael Jordan was at 25? It was all this debate about putting LeBron next to Jordan, LeBron Jordan. Meanwhile, you got so many other great players that they never marketed. They never really gave an honest opinion of. They compare every player to Michael Jordan. No player in the 2000s got judged fairly on their own merit. Whether it was Kobe, Vince Carter, Tracy McGrady, Grant Hill, you go down the line, nigga, Gilbert Arenas. No matter who it was, they always had to be put next to Michael Jordan. When Michael Jordan was doing his thing, they never put Michael Jordan next to Dr. J. When Michael Jordan was coming up in the 90s, they never put his stats next to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or next to Wilt Chamberlain. Or hell, not even next to Magic. Because when you put Magic's assist numbers and what he was doing, it was blowing a lot of shit Michael Jordan was doing out the water. So anybody who statistically could go, they would never say, oh, Jordan, remember, what was Jordan's first 2 years versus David Thompson's first 2 years in the NBA? They wouldn't do that to Michael Jordan. They didn't put Michael Jordan up against Dr. J every fucking time he did something right. Every time Michael Jordan did something right, here's Michael Jordan numbers, here's Wilt Chamberlain's numbers. They didn't do that to him. Michael Jordan in the 90s got an honest, uncomparable, fair shake. When the 2000s came, none of them niggas got a fair shake. Dwayne Wade, none of them. It was always Jordan this, Jordan that, Jordan that, Jordan this. And we never truly appreciated Ray Allen. We never truly appreciated Jamal Crawford. We never truly appreciated Carmelo. We never truly appreciated Antonio McDyess. We never truly appreciated Amari Stoudemire and Dirk Nowitzki and Pau Gasol and all of these players who were good in their own right, in a unique way. All right? Then that next generation comes around 07. That Kevin Durant, 08, Steph Curry, James Harden, Russell Westbrook. These are the young niggas that's coming up. These are the young niggas that's coming up. So now you have another generation. Now you're basically 2 generations post Jordan. You're 2 generations post Jordan now, but at the same time, you bringing these young guys up. At that same time, you're bringing them up. They're still not getting an honest assessment because now you're comparing this next generation to Michael Jordan. This was Kevin Durant's and Russell Westbrook's first playoff game. I was sitting courtside. I had seats with Jeannie Buss, and this was that 2010 playoff run. And this was Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden's first playoff game. Right here. And so you got this new class, Chris Paul, Deron Williams. These guys are coming up. Now, you're so in a rush to push LeBron James to the front, but LeBron James ain't won shit yet. And now you got these young niggas coming up. And then in 2011, the Lakers make a move and get Chris Paul. And we about to match Chris Paul with Kobe Bryant. What happens? David Stern steps in and he vetoes the trade out of the lockout because NBA had its lockout. And the lockout was to lower the money for the players. And so they had the lockout and also to stop teams like the Lakers from always dominating. And when the lockout ended, the Lakers made that trade for Chris Paul. And as the story goes, Mark Cuban from the Dallas Mavericks and Dan Gilbert from the Cleveland Cavaliers got on the phone with David Stern and was like, how the fuck can the Lakers do this? And we just came out of a lockout. That trade not only would have matched Kobe with Chris Paul, it gave the Lakers salary cap. It got rid of salary cap. And the Lakers had enough salary cap to sign one more major free agent while still keeping the squad put together for the most part. So the Lakers were now repositioned to win championships for the next 5 years, even with an aging Kobe, because a deal was also worked out with Carmelo Anthony to come to the Lakers and team with Chris Paul. That was the second deal that was going to follow Chris Paul coming to the Lakers. And that became an issue because now LeBron had just formed this super team with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. Never before in NBA history has that ever happened to where you get the 3 greatest draft classes. There are 4 great draft classes in NBA history: 1960, 1984, 1996, and 2003. Those are the 4 greatest draft classes in NBA history, bar none. So now you get 3 of the top 5 players taken from one of the top 4 draft classes in NBA history team up on the same team. How can this team gets together? Now, the Lakers vetoed the Chris Paul trade. They nixed that. We don't get that. All right, fine. But you allow LeBron to super team his shit up. And then the motherfucker still loses to Dallas. So now you change the coverage. If you go back and watch the ESPN coverage after LeBron lost to Dallas, you see, if you go back to that coverage, you see them going in on LeBron James. And then the NBA sent out a memo, an edict, to basically stop talking bad about LeBron James. So now the coverage gets real fluff and puff. And the reason why I'm able to remember all this stuff is because every day I take intellectual power. Every day. Go to intellectualpower.net and get some brain food. This shit gets your mind sharp. You dig? Intellectualpower.net. If you want to be able to recall things, be quick. I can't guarantee nothing. They're not guaranteeing anything. I'm just telling you how it worked for me. You dig? So go to intellectualpower.net. Back to what we're talking about. So it's a collusion. The NBA is now becoming like WWF wrestling. The coverage is overblown and bullshit. It's getting soft. Now the top players are teaming with one another and they're vetoing trades. Y'all veto when the NBA step in and then the Hornets ended up getting a worse package than what the Lakers were offering them. The Lakers actually gave them a better package. The NBA stepped in and vetoed that trade. And that's the thing that really got me disconnected from basketball. More than some Lakers shit had to happen to any team. When David Stern stepped in and did that, I said, basketball's fake. I knew it was fake before then. But now it leaves no doubt that how fake basketball is. So David Stern done softened the rules, changed the imagery up. You basically X'd out all of the alpha stuff out. Oh, that's another thing. They made an example out of Kobe in 2011. Referee Bennett Salvatore had called a bad foul on Kobe. Kobe ran to the bench. Y'all can look it up. And he slams the pad. He says, Benny, you fucking. And he says the word F-A-G-G-E-T. Man, they basically publicly lynched Kobe's ass after that. He didn't get no more calls. That was the end of any chance of Kobe getting any kind of preferential calls. Let me see if I can find that clip. Nah. I can't find that clip. Kobe calling out Bennett Salvatore. Well, anyway, so all these things come into it. And then we get to the 2000 teens. And now in the 2000 teens, we're getting it's back black again with the MVP stuff. But now you still got this whole Jordan LeBron. Now you got a whole generation that's retiring. Paul Pierce, Kobe, Ray Allen. That generation's retiring, never getting its proper respect. Because the NBA would have rather spent talking about Michael Jordan throughout all the 2000s instead of making legends out of these great players that they have here now. Shaq, Kobe, T-Mac, barring injury, Grant Hill. You had all of these great players in the 2000s, Jason Kidd, that never got their due. And at the same time, you fucking with players like Carmelo Anthony. You have nothing but criticisms to their game. Nothing but criticisms about James Harden. Nothing but criticism about Westbrook. Nothing but criticism about any player not named LeBron and not a foreigner. Now, if you're a foreigner, they don't talk bad about your game. If you're LeBron, they don't talk bad about your game. Every other nigga in the NBA is on the chopping block. And somewhat Steph Curry. Steph Curry doesn't really give you much to talk negatively about. He was never given high expectations. So his 4 championships Steph's championships are all basically equity because he wasn't part of that marketing scheme. He won his way into that with his team, not no super team, with his own team. And when they traded away and got Kevin Durant, they traded their depth for one player and lost their whole bench. So that's why when Kevin Durant got hurt, they couldn't win nothing because they got rid of their bench to get him. And the best role players. But you push this whole LeBron thing. LeBron teams with the greatest players of a generation time and time and time and time again. But you shit on those players to boost LeBron. You shit on Dwayne Wade. You shit on Chris Bosh. As if Chris Bosh in 2011, by 2010 with the Raptors, he's already moved ahead of Dirk Nowitzki and Tim Duncan by 2010 as far as individual level. His team wasn't good enough to really win at the time. But individually, one-on-one, Chris Bosh is now ahead of Tim Duncan and Dirk Nowitzki. They're getting older and moved out. Chris Bosh is now that nigga in that position. But because he teamed with LeBron, you never emphasize his greatness. You minimize Kyrie Irving, one of the greatest handles we've ever seen. Dribbles like a yo-yo. You minimize his greatness. Act like his greatness is just something that happens every day. He's a once-in-a-generational fucking player. James Harden, once in a generation. These cats, all these cats, you ignore these niggas. You minimize their greatness. But then, as we get later into the 2000 teens, now you got Luka. Now you got Giannis. Now you got Jokic. Now you got Embiid. And Jokic was around. Jokic, just like Steve Nash, didn't become a relevant player until like his 7th or 8th season. Now, once he's a vet and he's finally good, because y'all gave him fucking 6-7 years to get good, now y'all putting Jokic next to Shaq. You're doing stat sheets on ESPN comparing Jokic to Wilt Chamberlain to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You'll go find one of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's worst stats and put Jokic's face next to Kareem on some irrelevant Kareem stat, trying to make him seem as if he's anywhere in the same field as Kareem or Shaq. You put Luka Doncic's picture up there next to Magic Johnson. You put Luka's picture up there next to all the greats of all time. Can't play defense. Move like a fucking turtle. And then and you have these rules. You did. I forgot to go back to 2016 when the NBA created its freedom of motion movement. The freedom of motion rule is what stopped players from bumping cutters. It used to be, the reason why assist numbers went up was because before that freedom of motion movement, when teams ran plays, like back in the days when I used to coach, when you see somebody cutting, you bump them to throw the timing of a play off. Well, the NBA made that illegal. So now that you can no longer bump the cutter, you can now run plays based on timing, the same way football players do. I now can get the ball, swing that shit around the horn, and without looking, throw a dime right there to the mid post because the cut's coming through and nobody's going to obstruct that cut. And since I know nobody's going to obstruct that cut, you can now do more leading plays, leading passes that directly lead to a field goal because the rules got better. That's why assist numbers went. That's how Russell Westbrook got to average a triple-double the next fucking season after the rule change. That's how Jokic is able to get 138 goddamn triple-doubles. If Shaq was allowed these rules, freedom of motion, as good as Shaq passed, Shaq could have averaged a triple-double with these rules. Shaq was a great passer. So you inflate stats. You make the game on ESPN about stats, numbers, and Europeans. That's what the game became over the last 10 years. You talking about stats to a whole bunch of niggas that don't know the difference between mean, mode, and range. Don't even know what the fuck range means. Don't know what the fuck the median is or mode. And then you make it a stat-based game. You make it real soft, meaning the best players, Kevin Durant joining the Warriors, LeBron joining the Cavs, is super teaming it up. Everywhere he go, bring the whole league with me. And if I ain't winning, give me a whole new team so I can win. Because I ain't gonna say that part. And now you bring in some fucking tournament and a mid-season award and a play-in tournament. You've cheapened the game. You push soft boys like LeBron. You push immigrants that none of us connect to. And now you have a generation of soft-ass players that looked up to soft-ass players. Anthony Edwards and this new generation, the guys they grew up idolizing was soft boys. So what's going to happen? They're going to be soft boys. Because y'all started that whole, hero ball, don't do it. Let's share. And no more competition. Team with your adversity because I'm a punk. So, because the NBA chose to market itself this way, it's now paying the consequence. Now you have a league of soft boys, stat-chasing punks that don't care about winning. Just look at the numbers. Yeah, but I saw you run away from the ball the last 2 minutes of the game, Paul George. Fuck the numbers. I'm watching this shit. When Jaylen Brown wins the MVP of the finals, y'all, I was watching that game when the Celtics won. They didn't cut to Jaylen Brown one time. When the Celtics won that championship, and they kept the game on Jason Tatum. The camera stayed on Jason Tatum. It stayed on Porzingis. It stayed on all the other guys. They didn't even show Jaylen Brown. It was I counted it. It was 10 minutes from the end of the horn to the first commercial break. When all the confetti's coming around, they're passing around the trophy. Not once did the camera go to Jaylen Brown. So you still got some alpha niggas in the league. Ja Morant, Jaylen Brown, Anthony Edwards half the time. And the alphas you got in the league, you don't put Jaylen Brown on the Olympic team. You don't put Kyrie Irving on the Olympic team. That's why NBA ratings are down. We see it's bullshit. Jaylen Brown was the Finals MVP. Should have been league MVP. And you don't put him on the Olympic team. We saw how you treated Kyrie Irving when he refused to take a jab. How y'all tried to blackball that man. We saw how y'all blackballed Carmelo Anthony out of the NBA. Carmelo Anthony should have had a retirement tour himself. But Houston pulled that bullshit with him. He was eligible to play that whole season, but the owner pulled that bullshit with him, lied on him, and sat him out the whole season. Y'all made it hard when he did play with Portland and with LA. He was balling. He obviously still had the game to still be in the NBA. But y'all basically blackballed Carmelo out of the league. Y'all blackballed DeMarcus Cousins out of the league. DeMarcus Cousins should still be playing somewhere. Yeah, he had those 2 catastrophic injuries, but he's better than them soy boys playing center now. Also, go to blisscapsules.com. Type in product code DeJuanB. Go to DeJuanB.com. Go to my Patreon. Patreon is cracking this week. I got some dope shit up on Patreon, some exclusives that's up on Patreon that can't come over here to YouTube. Got some interviews up on Patreon right now. Go to patreon.com/DeJuanB. All right. Oh, and also after this, I'm going live again here in an hour on MetaQuest. I'll be streaming again live, cracking jokes in the metaverse. I'm going to be streaming from my point of view right here on YouTube. So in an hour, Y'all gonna join me here on MetaQuest talking some shit online. So that's gonna be at 4:20. All right, join me on MetaQuest, and I'm gonna have a link right here on YouTube so you can see it from my point of view. But if you got Oculus glasses, I'll have the link in the description of that live. All right. So you see how the shit work. Hell yeah, Dwight Howard cooked Jokic. And what happened? Dwight Howard's ass was out the league. All the players that cooked Jokic. Dwight, and that's old Dwight Howard. This wasn't even 2008 Dwight Howard. This was back surgeries, booty getting blown out. Dwight Howard still cooked Jokic and couldn't find another job in the league after that. So the reason the NBA ratings are down is because y'all shitted on the alpha males. Y'all didn't promote 2 generations of greatness. Also, you can spend all day talking about Jordan and LeBron. Jordan and LeBron. LeBron and Jordan. Yeah, ignore it. You act like James Harden was just something, not the phenomenon that he was during his prime. Kyrie Irving. You totally ignored these careers. Carmelo, Kevin Durant. You just act like, yeah, they're not Jordan. So Kevin Durant's whatever because he's not Jordan. But they're not Jordan, though. And all day, basketball talk became who's the best? Jordan and LeBron. LeBron and Jordan. No more conversations like back in the 90s. We used to talk about who had the best crossover, who was the best dunker, who was the best shooter, who was the best post player, who was the best defender. And everybody had different answers for everyone because it was so much talent and still is so much talent in the NBA that no one player is going to dominate all those categories. You don't even have those discussions anymore. It's always who the best and the numbers and the numbers and the numbers. You got a whole bunch of niggas that can't pass Algebra 1 talking about the numbers. That's why the NBA ratings are down. It became a fucking numbers conversation instead of enjoying the goddamn game. That's what happened to the NBA and why the ratings are down. Y'all push soft boys that wanted to team with everybody. Now you got Bronny James on the Lakers. This motherfucker sucks. Flat out. We all know that motherfucker. He don't belong in the D-League. I don't care if he scored 30 that one game. He was getting blown out. Leaving that nigga wide open. It was probably told to leave that nigga open. You got sucky ass niggas like that in the NBA now. And we supposed to act like we don't see what we seeing. That's why the NBA ratings are down. Y'all ignored 2 generations of great players because you want to keep this stupid ass debate going, and you still got all your attention on LeBron James, and you haven't cultivated any new stars. Ja Morant could be a star. Anthony Edwards could be a star. Jaylen Brown could be a star. These players, LaMelo Ball could be a star. But y'all too busy shitting on his dad. LaMelo, because of what was going on his YouTube channel, he could be a mega star in the NBA if they promoted him right, even with the injuries. If he was promoted right, LaMelo could be a major star right now. But y'all shit on him because y'all don't like his dad. That's why it's down. That's why it's down. You shitted on real basketball trying to sell a fantasy. You're trying to tell us based on the numbers we don't see what we seeing. You're trying to tell us that Jokic, somebody who quits when it's time to win, Jokic put up all these numbers, but look what happened last year in the playoffs. When that pressure get to his ass, he ain't shit. And y'all want to push that on and y'all want to compare that to Shaq. Somebody who, when the lights turned bright, really took it to another level. The NBA fucked itself with these bullshit ass rules, with dress codes, with all this shit. The NBA fucked itself. And now we're at the other end of it. We're at 20 plus years of them tinkering with the game to where now the game has become unwatchable. Good job, David Stern and Adam Silver. You fucked yourself. Now you're trying to do what baseball did and what the NFL is doing, and you're trying to replace the black American with the foreigners. Y'all tried that shit in the 2000s when y'all gave Steve Nash and Dirt and Whiskey them awards. It didn't work then, and if you want to keep your product, it ain't gonna work now. All right? What? All right, I'm out. Y'all have a good one.